Good afternoon. Here's the mic. Good afternoon, Madam. You are Hannah Wendot Cheptumo.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to this Committee of Parliament, the Committee on Appointments, chaired by the Speaker. You are truly here. I'll invite members to introduce themselves, starting with Majority Leader.
My name is Kemani Shongo, Member of Parliament for Kikuyu, Leader of Majority.
My name is Junet Mohammed, Member of Parliament, Suna East, Minority Leader.
Nelson Koech, Member of Parliament, Belgut.
Kosing David, Member of Parliament, Pogo South, Member of this committee.
Karia David, Nakuru Town East Constituency.
Naisula Lesuda, MP Samburu West, a member of this committee.
I'm Ferdinand Wanyonyi, Member of Parliament, Kwanza and Trans Nzoia County, a member of this committee.
My name is Abdul Rahim Daoud, MP for Northimenti Meru, and a member of this committee.
George Getonga Murugara, Member of Parliament, Tharaka Constituency, Tharaka Nithi, a member of the committee.
Milio Diamo Mabona, Member of Parliament, Suba North, and Minority Chief Whip, and a member of this committee. And a woman.
I thought that was obvious. Robert Mbui, Member of Parliament for Kadhiani, Deputy Leader of the Minority.
Stephen Mule, MP Matungulu, Machakos County, a member of this committee.
Dido Raso, MP Saku, committee member.
Abdi Shuri, MP Balambala, member of the committee.
Caleb Amisi, MP Sabot, a member.
Masemeri, MP Teso South, a member of this committee.
Mr. Speaker, my name is Samuel Njoroge, Clerk to the National Assembly. I'm leading the secretariat that is serving this committee.
Madam Hannah, you have been nominated by His Excellency the President as a Cabinet Secretary for Gender, Culture, the Arts and Heritage. The purpose of appearing before this committee is to assess your suitability or otherwise to hold the office to which you have been nominated. You'll have an interaction with this committee. They'll ask you questions. You are expected to answer concisely and precisely. No stories. Just answer the questions as they are asked. Before we embark on that journey, I'll advise you to tell us if you are Christian, Muslim, Hindu, or a non-believer, so that we can know which oath to administer on you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I am a Christian.
You are Christian, so you may be upstanding. Take the Bible in your right hand and raise it, and you'll recite the oath that the sergeant will hold for you. Move closer to the mic so that it's recorded.
Thank you. I, Anna Wendot Cheptumo, do swear that the evidence I shall give before this committee on the matters under its consideration shall be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you. You may take your seat and sign to the oath. You then should proceed to give your documents that you have to the clerk to check with what we have. Having done that, I'll give you 5 minutes to tell this committee who Hannah Wendot Cheptumo is, the story of your life and why you think you are suitable to hold office to which you have been nominated.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and the members of the committee present. Let me take this opportunity to introduce myself. And before then, I would like to thank His Excellency the President for nominating me to this position. Hannah Wendot Cheptumo was born in 1968 at Koitebes village, Baringo County. I was born in a family of 7 children, 2 boys and 5 girls. The 4th-born sister is a sister who lives with disability, and I, being the 5th-born, I learned at a very early stage to be a caregiver. I then went to Koitebes Primary School. And during the time in my primary school, it was those days that there was a lot of teenage pregnancy, FGM, and early marriages. So we would have students go for holidays, and when we open in the new year, they are not there. And that is the society in which I was born. I went to Kituro High School, which is a mixed secondary school. Partly enjoyed being in school, although there's a lot of teasing by the boys, and it affects your performance. And some of those things the teachers would not know, because they are done right in class or when we are going for games. So again, there I learned how to survive, because you had to survive to be able to go through your education. I proceeded to Kapsabet Girls High School, where I did my Form 5 and Form 6. Thereafter, my father passed on. So then my mother became the sole breadwinner, and the issues of patriarchy in the society were very pertinent then. So some of the people that had sold some property to my father wanted to take it back because it was only a woman now who was there. So it really sensitized me at a very early age. I proceeded to the Cooperative College of Kenya, where I learned management of cooperative societies, audits. After I completed, I proceeded to work at the Ministry of Cooperative Development, where I was managing about 30 cooperative societies at any one time. And the work I used to do was management, training, and supervision. While working there, I was able to see how members of cooperative societies were suffering because money would be deducted at source and not remitted. So most members died before they received their dues. And that really informed my decision of joining the law school so that I could see how we can sort some of the problems because they were apparent in the society. So I then consulted widely, and while there, remember, I was at an advanced stage, so I met the love of my life. So I married Cheptumo, and we were blessed with 3 children as I was still working. So through his mentorship and also consultation widely while working, I proceeded to go and do law at the University of Nairobi. I completed the University of Nairobi and continued working now as a negotiator and alternative dispute resolution agent at the Cooperative Tribunal. In 2007, my husband joined politics, so I had no choice but now to go and work in the law firm as a managing partner, which I still do to date. Other than my professional and family life, I am also, I have a lot of social things that I do, mostly in the church. I am a member of Africa Inland Church Kenya. Specifically, I'm a member of AIC Langata, where I am the chair lady of the church, so I lead the women as a woman. I also teach children in a program called CED program, Christian Education Department. So I teach girls of the age of 6 to 12. They are called stars. So we teach them to be stars at a very early age. Then once they pass that age, we teach them now as cadets. The skills that we teach these children is to know how to live with others in the community.
And who teaches the boys?
The boys are taught by the men, but I am a patron there because we have to ensure that the boy and the girl know how to live together. Next to our church, there is a slum. So we noticed that the girls and the boys in the slum did not have an opportunity to learn because they don't have the space. So we would go doing missionary work there, then we bring the girls and the boys and we teach them. To date, if you go there, you would not know who comes from the slum and who comes from the estate. And that is what I've been doing. And in brief, you only gave me 5 minutes, so maybe I stop there. But I would like to say, through what I have talked about, or rather giving the chronology of my CV and my life, I learned at a very early age to be a caregiver because of my sister. I learned how to do conflict resolution at the corporate tribunal. I am a serious negotiator. I even negotiate for votes and I succeed. So that one I've learned as a family person and as an advocate. And in leadership, a lot as I work in the law firm, because to come from that old age and to run a law firm and it is profitable to date, I had to really know how to negotiate and how to deal with clients' issues. So that business is doing very well. It is paying tax. I'm a mobilizer. I mobilized a lot in cooperatives. I'm a teacher in the church. People management. For you to succeed, you must know how to deal with people. And I am a keen listener and a serious negotiator. I listen and I negotiate.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Speaker, sir, with these skills, I would like to say, if this committee approves my nomination, I will negotiate for more funding for my ministry. And negotiating means budget issues, because when I went through their readings, most of their problems is budget cuts. I will also foster teamwork. You can't work alone. Mine is like an issue of marriage. It is me who is getting married there, and the marriage must work. I will also engage other stakeholders to promote arts, heritage, culture, and champion for gender equality. And because I am a lawyer, I'm especially keen to work on pushing for pending policy and legislative matters, which I saw most of them are pending in Parliament. So the Constitution is there, but the laws, the relevant laws, are wanting. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Hannah Cheptumo, you only seem to have worked with the Ministry of Cooperatives as a cooperative officer way back, yes, before you went into private practice. Do you think you have the relevant experience to serve in public office? And I know you are married to a politician, so you might have engaged in a number of public engagements with late Cheptumo. But do you think you have the relevant experience now to serve as a cabinet secretary in public office? And aware of the demands of that office as a cabinet secretary, you have also stated that you have been engaged in a lot of other activities outside the law practice in your firm, in the church. Are you going to be able to now do those other things that you do in the church, including teaching children on CED, as a cabinet secretary? And lastly, on gender-based violence, you come from an area, as you say, girls experience a lot of hardships coming from a semi-arid area in Baringo. And you've seen the recent news of femicide cases and gender-based violence against young girls and women in the country. What is your plan, should you be approved, to stem that those rising cases of gender-based violence and femicide in the country?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
We can take 1, 2 more. Just note what you have been asked. Junet? No question?
I'm satisfied. I have no question.
Yes, Nelson?
Yes, a quick one. You said that if approved, you will negotiate for more funds for the ministry you've been nominated to. Where, in your opinion, do you think those before you have failed?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me say this, that her late husband, Honorable Jeptumo, I served with him for 10 years. Number 2, the late Jeptumo was a senator representing my community in Tiate. And therefore, with those remarks, Honorable Speaker, I wish her well in convincing this committee to approve her. I thank you, Speaker.
Naisula?
Thank you, Chairman. So you come from a region in the North Rift where there's a lot of conflict. And most of the time we leave it to the security department, while we know women and children bear the most brunt of conflict. I would like to know, if you're approved and you become the CS, what efforts you will put in to build, to ensure that there is peace also in that region. And then I'd just like to hear from you, because when you talk about femicide, when you talk about cultural issues, you really can't point your finger on it, really. I'd want to hear what innovative ways you will deal with issues of femicide, on the cultural issues like early marriages, FGM, things that we have struggled with as a country for many years.
You can answer those 3.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you, members. I hope I have captured well. So to start with the issue of whether I am qualified or whether I have the capacity, I earlier on said that I have worked in the Ministry of Cooperative Development. That is where I came, that is where I started my work. I worked there for 14 years. Secondly, where I'm going to work, I will not be alone. We have a structure in that ministry, so you work with the people who are there. They are permanent secretaries, they are heads of departments. You consult widely so that you can be able to function. So I believe I'm qualified because it is about the other person. You can't work alone. You have to work as a team. The issue of the other works, if you talk about the law firm, I have trained many students through pupillage. It is an opportunity now to give them the chance to also work there. And secondly, 2 of my children are advocates, so they will continue. After all, it was the vision of their father. Let them carry on. About teaching in the church, that one I will not abandon, because that is where the cradle of life is. So teaching, you do it on Saturdays and on Sundays. And when I'm not there, there are other teachers, and we work together. So I believe that I will be able to do all that work given the opportunity. The issue of, was it gender-based violence and femicide? Gender-based violence is violence that is meted on either gender. It is either a man or a woman. It is violence as a result of your gender. So the proposed ways of dealing with gender-based violence, as I look at it, is coming from a community that is prevalent. Gender-based violence is caused by patriarchy. Earlier on, historically, men have been owning property, and they have been the ones who have also been being elected in elective positions. So, to be able to cure this vice that is in the community, we have to engage community leaders. Leadership is on the ground. That is where we have men and women, we have people in churches, we have people in barasas. So those are the people that I will engage together with my team and the members of the counties, because the counties are, devolution is on the ground. We have to work with county governments to ensure that we deal with these issues by discussing the issues and ensuring that we have solutions from the ground. We also have to engage the religious leaders. Every Sunday or on Fridays, either you go to the mosque or you go to church. And those are platforms that you can use without spending any money. And I will also engage with the leadership. Remember, as I told you earlier, I have been married to a politician for close to 20 years, and I have been there. So persuasion comes from the members of parliament. They are the ones who, once they appear in a place, members come, people come. So we'll use that opportunity to ensure that we pass our agenda to the forums that members of parliament have. I know there are gender desks which are there at the police stations. And as far as I'm concerned, they're not very effective, because a person who has had a challenge with being battered will not be very happy or not easy to go and report such a thing in a police station. Especially if the policeman who is dealing with gender issues is a man, if the person is a man. I propose that we have gender desks being manned by a woman and a man, and possibly transfer them to hospitals, so that when you go to hospital, you report.
Mr. Speaker, as much as I agree with the nominee that there's gender-based violence, but it can be on both sides. There's also violence from women to men. So the police must be careful. There's not only women who are being by rights or being molested.
Mr. Speaker, she has mentioned that. That's why she has said actually that you have a policeman and a policewoman.
Yes.
So that if Junette is beaten by the wife, at least he can go to hospital.
Thank you, member, for that. So I was saying, it is important that we move it to hospitals, because once a person has a challenge, they're able to go to hospital, be treated, report, be treated, and also have psychosocial support, because these cases are very bad. You report and you do not get treatment, you don't get psychosocial support, you go back home. That is why most of them after that commit suicide. So it is important to have a desk that have all those things, the treatment, the reporting, and the psychosocial support. There is also a gap in the Evidence Act. It does not address gender-based violence issues. It talks about homicide, but there is no femicide. So it is important that we amend so that it is specific, because if you go to a police station, they take your evidence based on homicide, which is general, killing of a person. But gender-based violence cases and femicide should be very, very specific in the act.
Sorry, Honorable Speaker. I almost referred to you as Chair, Honorable Speaker. And I remember the obvious. Madam Hannah, are you then proposing that we should redefine homicide to femicide, or isn't both is a killing of a human being, whether it is female or a man who has been killed? So if the gap you see is in a definition, what I wanted to hear from you at the policy level as a cabinet secretary in charge of this ministry, what are the policy proposals that you would push through? And I hear what you're saying about legislative amendments. That might be a policy proposal, but I don't know whether defining femicide and homicide changes the fact that a human being has been killed. It is policy proposals that would, for instance, working with GAO officers, National Government Administration officers, the National Police Service officers, other government agencies, to even educate girls from a young age in schools. How do you handle relationship issues? How do you handle people who are being mean to you, people who are expressing violence, even verbal violence to you? That's what I wanted to hear, but I see you now delving onto definitions in law. Whether it is femicide or homicide is a killing. And I don't know, you're the lawyer, I'm not a lawyer, but both are killing. And I don't know whether it is right to kill a man and wrong to kill a woman. Both is murder.
Let me first define what femicide is.
We know it.
Yes.
Just tell us what you are being asked. And you see, you are focusing on post-violence interventions. We are more interested in prevention of such violence. You will help society better. So the question is, I'm sure you know something about the ministry you have been nominated to. When you get there, what policy interventions or changes or innovations will you bring on board to stem gender-based violence? Don't focus on how you'll handle people who have been bastardized and beaten up and battered and so on.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I see the solutions to be coming from the locals. So one of the policy measures that I will propose is to include the gender-based violence issues in the education system. Because right at the education level, that is where children can learn even how to report and when to know when they are being violated. So put it in the education system. Propose together with the other line ministry on how to deal with issues of gender-based violence at the primary schools and at the secondary school as a curriculum. Secondly, is to have the education of the locals on why they should not be, why they should protect. For example, the boys, they should protect their sisters. And the men should know how to live with their wives. So those are family issues, and we can come up with a policy on educating the masses.
The question of Koech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Member Koech asked me where have the other people, my predecessors have failed in terms of funding. They have not failed. I think the issue was budget cuts because of to ensure that the exchequer, the money is distributed across. But there are some pertinent issues that have to be dealt with, which cannot wait. For example, these cases of gender-based violence cannot wait. When I saw the case of Gala, the girl at Wajir, the way it was reported that she was calling, and she was calling the mother, there was no help coming from even the leaders and the authorities. So this cannot wait. We can't push the budget of these gender-based issues. Those are the ones that should be prioritized, because it is sanctity of life. If you kill women, you have destroyed a whole family. If you kill girls, you have destroyed a whole generation. So they do not fail, but they need to be looked at and ensure that funding is given to those serious issues. So it's a matter of negotiating and ensuring that those particular ones, even if not all, at least they are taken care of.
Naisula's question.
Femicide and early marriage. Early marriage is brought about by patriarchy. These are men who give out their daughters because they want bride price. So the issues of early marriage should be curtailed at the point of education.
Even women participate in giving away their daughters.
They do, but they are it is the men who actually push. I come from such a community.
Yes.
It is the man who speaks. So once you reach a certain age, they see that you have developed some parts in the body, then they now encourage you, let this one go before she gets pregnant. So that one can be dealt with by involving both parents, the mother and the father, and even the brothers, on why the assistants should be allowed to continue with education, especially at the TVETs, so that even if you are in class 8 and you did not pass well, there are these institutions that you can go and learn. So that one should not be a reason for early marriage. Femicide. Femicide, as I said earlier, is a killing, intentional killing of women and girls. This one is brought about by, I see a lot of it is because of dependency. If girls were able to have economic power, they would not depend on the either gender. Sometimes you find them in places where they are exposed because they are trying to get alternative source of income. We also have challenges to do with, I've said education. Education, yes. If a woman is educated, chances are that they will avoid some of these challenges which are there in the society. So we need to encourage our girls.
The girls who have been killed in Airbnbs are in universities. They're educated.
They're educated, but those ones are looking for money. Yes. You know, a girl has many needs.
Point of order. Point of order.
Yes,
Yeah, point of order.
Honorable Mishi.
Honorable Chairman, it is not good to say that those girls are looking for money, and that is why they're brutally murdered. We have seen so many other women who have been murdered, and not in those circumstances. So it is very wrong to say that those women who have been found, they have been butchered, their body dismembered, put in a sack, that they were doing that for money.
Taken. Naisula, you had another issue about
the peace and
peace.
Yeah, so that it's not just a security matter.
Can you respond to that?
Before responding to that, I had not finished answering the first question on what we need to do as far as femicide is concerned, is to have recovery centers, also have safe spaces where the girls can go to. The challenge that we also have is the system of reporting.
Nominee, you are overflogging femicide.
Thank you.
I think members are not having any issue with that.
Thank you.
Answer her question on what intervention you can propose coming from a semi-arid but a bandit-prone area? That's what she asked you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
And you are not just going to be a minister in charge of femicide. You are going to do many things. There's culture in it, there's arts in it, there's heritage in it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. The conflict resolution on the ground comes because the challenges of insecurity is because of income. The cows which are stolen from Baringo, for example, are stolen because of bride price. They are taking those cows so that they can pay dowry for another wife. So how to deal with that one is to encourage, first of all, to try and deal with this issue of you must give out 20 cows. For me, even Cheptumo did not pay the 2, and I am still married to him. So you don't have to have 20 cows. You can have 2 and still get married. We are willing to get married anytime. The other issues that we need to encourage is this bottom-up transformation agenda of trying to work on matters of agriculture. If you look at Baringo, for example, Lake Baringo has a lot of water. So we will work with the other state departments of, for example, irrigation, to have these people work in the farms instead of going to steal. Because food will always be marketable. So why steal cows to buy food? Just ensure that you have work on the farm, get the food.
Thank
then
you.
Go to schools.
Thank you. Robert?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two very quick questions. One about gender and the other one is about arts.
Take the questions very carefully so that you give concise and precise answers, like I said. No stories.
No stories. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
And femicide, we have had enough.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure mine will be some maybe yes or no answers. Now, Article 27.8, Article 81B, and Article 100 are very clear about the two-third gender rule. And these have consistently been violated by state officers. In fact, I'll point out that in this nomination, if we approved the two of you, the cabinet will not even have achieved the two-third gender rule. What is your comment about that consistency in not making sure we get the two-thirds? Secondly, on the issue of arts, you have talked to us here and you have told us you have been a teacher, you have been teaching, but you're not a trained teacher. Now, most schools have to have arts. In fact, we are looking at next year when we go to senior secondary, we'll even have a pathway. The pathway is called Arts and Sports Science. So basically...
Yes, Janet.
I wanted to through you. He's saying that she's a teacher and she's not a trained teacher. Mr. Speaker, for you to be a teacher, must you be a trained teacher? Was Jesus a trained teacher? People.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think Honorable Juneta has assisted me very seriously with my question, because my question was about arts in schools. Recently, you saw when there was that drama and a lot of drama in the streets of Nakuru, when a school presented some play and there were issues about that play, and the Ministry of Education has quickly said that anyone who's not a trained teacher cannot be allowed to interact with the learners to be able to help them grow their art skills. So what is your comment on that matter? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I have a very simple question on the arts. One, there are a lot of musicians there in the villages trying to struggle to survive, and they're looking for ways to make a breakthrough. We look at the Tanzanian model, where great musicians come and they make money, but the Kenyan musicians still remain very poor. When you take over, if this committee approves you and you take over, what are you going to do about the young artists in the village struggling, and yet they have good quality music, but they cannot break through? Thank you.
Honorable Millie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to note that should you be confirmed, which I really strongly hope you will, that you'll continue with the energy that you have shown, because you appear to have landed running, because this is a ministry that has stayed without a substantive CS for a long time. And I'm glad that you've noticed that one of the things bedeviling this ministry is budgetary allocation, of course, which goes back to Parliament. But again, using your negotiating skills, you said you'll try and use it to increase. I have one question that is gender-related and one that is culture-related. The question that is gender-related is that how do you seek to build a program for men so that they can take their responsibility of mentoring boys instead of always blaming women? How do you think you can do that? Even here you have been asked a question asking you, what about the boys? Where are the men?
You say our chairman asked you a question.
I don't know who asked, but...
It is me who asked.
Anyway, sorry, Chairman, but it is not just you. It is a common...
All of you have neglected the boy child.
But that's the question I'm asking her. The men have neglected the boy child. So what program is she putting in place to get men to do their responsibility of taking care of the boy child and not blaming women for leaving out their responsibility? So that's my first question. How are you including men so that they can be responsible again, the way society intended them? So they take care of the boys and not blame women. You want us to take care of the girls, again take care of the boys. And then my second question, no, it is you. How can I take care of a 20-year-old boy? At least with the ones who are younger, that might be my responsibility for nurturing and caring. By the time you want me to tell you difficult things, there are issues I can't tell boys.
Mr. Speaker,
you are the only one who can tell
father.
boys.
Why can she not take care of the 20-year-old boy? She's taking care of the father.
You see,
that is comic relief. Let it end there.
You see, Mr. Speaker, that is where we are going. If he wants me to take care of a 20-year-old boy, Mr. Speaker, that is why I want you to have a program. If you can tell us what kind of program you are thinking of for men to take their responsibility seriously so that you are not having 20-year-old boys arguing with older people, especially on social media. No respect laws and all that. Mr. Speaker, the other issue that I'd want to ask is that in relation to culture, Kenya has struggled a lot with the showcasing what defines Kenya. Do you think there's an innovative way that you can think of coming up with some cultural, whether it's an attire or something, that can identify our Kenyanness? So that if you go even for maybe an international conference or wherever, and I see somebody, I say, now that's Kenya. Have you thought about it, or is it something that you want to think about? Thank you.
Can I answer those three?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll start with the one for the 2/3 gender rule. That Article 27 espouses issue on equality and freedom from discrimination. And particularly Article 27(8) provides that no 2/3, there should be no representation or in not more than 2/3 of either gender. And as it stands now, it has not been realized in Parliament and in the Senate. It has been realized at the county under Article 177. But the National Assembly Article number 97 and Article number 98 should be amended to bring top-up lists so that after elections, if you have less, allow me to say women for now, if you have less women, then you use the top-up list to add. The other thing that should be amended is the election laws, so that a party, when they bring from the ground, when they bring their lists, they should be able to comply with the 2/3 gender rule at the party level. Also amend the political...
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Yeah, you know, so that you don't go around in circles, my question was specifically about the cabinet, which the president has an opinion and a responsibility to appoint, and it is not elected. What would you advise you are appointing authority.
We must comply with the Constitution. So there are no two ways about it. Yes. Yeah. The next one was the issue of arts. The issue of the
non-teachers teaching.
Non-teachers teaching. I am a trained teacher, not trained in a college, but I'm trained in life. Because if you are a mother, you can take care of other children. You don't need to take care of only of your children. So that which you know, use it. And I'm also trained in the local programs in the CED department. We have programs. And those programs, it is important for us to engage. So you don't just sit in an office and say, I can only...
His last question was, do you agree with the Ministry of Education that non-teachers should not teach in schools?
I believe, again, that people are gifted differently. For example, if you are talking about artists, and they want to, they are the ones who, not all teachers can write plays. Not all, I mean, people are...
Order, Robert, we stop cheering the nominee.
So all you need to do is to have a proper engagement. And because the schools are run by an administration, it is for them to only ensure that they check what is happening. And I'm not specific on any issue. I'm simply saying that should be the way.
Go to the next question by Owen Bayer. Musicians.
And Mr. Speaker, she has said proper engagement.
A proper engagement, yes, absolutely.
Musicians.
Nominee musicians, he says our local musicians wallow in poverty. Musicians in our neighborhood seem to be doing very well. What are you, if you find favor with this community, going to do to uplift the status of our local artists, especially musicians? That was his question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Arts is a very important aspect of life. The proposal that I have is to ensure that they are remunerated for the work that they are doing. In my reading, I came across a case where the performers are doing their work, but the collective management organization collect their money, but they do not remit. So they collect 100%, but they remit only 10%. Meaning the people who are actually doing the work are not receiving their payment. So one of the policies that we are going to engage first, in fact, that should be a priority, is to ensure that we look at why are they retaining this money. They should be prosecuted. ESCC and these people who are ESCC and the DPP, we should all work together to ensure that any money that has been collected, if one is retaining, they should be able to release. Otherwise, it is not that they are not doing, they are doing a lot of work, but they are not getting paid for the work that they have done. The other proposal that I have is to engage the county governments, because most of the performances are done at the Kenya National Theatre, but we need to ensure that we have cultural days almost frequently in the counties, and they are organized the way you organize football teams. They should be, people should be engaging over the weekends. Artists are there, you pay, and then now from there they receive their pay. And that can only be done with the help and with coordination with the county governments.
Go to Millie Odhiambo.
Men are our husbands, and they are our fathers, and they are our brothers. They need to engage in income-generating activities. In the ministry, we have there is a program that is meant to engage the men. I have read somewhere to engage the men in income-generating activities, not to just wait for the women to go for chamas and then they come and beat them because they have money. The other thing they need to do is to involve the men in decision making. You know, just like in the Bible, when Eve sinned, Adam was just quiet. Men need to come up, give their views. So we will be engaging them as we go, as we do these community-based projects, that we must have men giving their views. They should also register in cooperative societies, and then they borrow money, develop themselves, and ensure that they teach the boys to work hard from a very early stage. All these problems are coming because of patriarchy, because men believe they are not supposed to do much other than come in the evening and say, where is my food? It is a high time they also get engaged.
Anna, you know, those are not correct statements. You also know that Eve made Adam make a wrong decision.
Mr. Speaker, so he was quiet. The Bible says he was with her.
Eve made Adam make a wrong decision. But answer the question of Millie about... yes.
Thank you. Chairman, I want to bring to the attention of the nominee, even from the composition of this committee, you can see men are more than, they are working harder than women. There were more. Secondly, that statement you must withdraw because it's bordering gender-based violence.
I would like to, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll take you back to the 2/3 gender rule. That is where, that's why you are many.
Now, Millie also asked you, in case you find favor and become the minister, you go to West Africa, you see distinctly Nigerian attire, distinctly Ghanaian attire. You go to other places, same thing. What you think you need to do to define the Kenyan, that you see a Kenyan walking on the streets of Beijing and you say, this is not just an African, that's a Kenyan. That's what Emilia asked you.
Thank you, yes. Dress code, or rather dressing, you can't be able to say this is the kind of an attire that is acceptable, because we have several cultures. We have different cultures. We have Maasais with their culture, we have Kalenjins with their culture, we have Luos with their culture. I think what we can do for the time being, let's just put the flag on our head.
Yes, George. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, we will start wearing flags on our heads to distinguish ourselves as Kenyans out there. I think that would be very interesting.
Maybe before my brother here asks, just to help for purposes of the future, because I've been very observant, what you have said in just can actually work. Not necessarily by the flag. If you look at the Kalenjins, the Luos, the Kikuyus, they always, especially for the women, they have this sort of a variant of what I've modernized here. In Luo, it's called ligisa. And in Kikuyu, you have it. So women have it, these men have varied. What Jomo Kenyatta used to wear, what Oginga Odinga used to wear. So it used to be worn as a leadership thing, but we can change it and make it a fashion statement. The other thing is, whenever I go out of the country, I see anybody with Kikoi, they are always a Kenyan.
I have to answer that. Go on.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we have had something on gender, culture, and arts. Let's do something on heritage. We have a lot that we have inherited from our past. But unfortunately, we haven't done much with it. If you ask anyone what we have from the past, they only think about Fort Jesus, which we got from the Portuguese. Otherwise, the rest of it, including where did we find the Turkana boy, origin of mankind, or where is that discovery that we had, where has it gone to, or Rusinga Highland, where our people from Uganda, the Abasuba, settled. All these ones. What do you intend to do as the CS in charge of heritage to ensure that we actually multiply the heritage features we have in the country with the sole purpose of revenue raising, tourism, and other attractions that are likely to be of benefit to the country?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the nominee, she mentioned that the gender desks at the police stations do not work, and she suggested they should be at the hospitals. I want her to tell us who is going to fund it, or is she expecting the police to be at the hospitals manning it? Because the gender desk at my police station is not manned, womaned by a lady officer, an inspector. So who do you, because you have said there are no funds available, who do you intend to put at the hospital? Yes, it may be a good idea, but who is going to run them, and is it going to be under the police? Secondly, our museums in Kenya, I believe they would be under you, under heritage. Our artifacts are non-existent in the museums which are in the country, and they are underfunded, our museums. What do you intend to do about them?
Ferdinand?
I think we may be repeating the same thing.
Then don't.
But what I'll do, Waziri, if you're going to be made a minister from our interviews now, is that first and foremost, your top about marriages, I think I quite agree with you. But the whole thing is that we are losing our direction as Kenyans. For example, in my culture, we had this very old culture of circumcision in Luya land that was done culturally. Today, it's been rolled out. Now instead you take that was actually even Kalenjin. Today, most of the children now are going to the hospital to be circumcised, yeah, which is actually not what we had. So there's that Western influence, and we have to go back to so that you can be told, as you are rightly saying, we want to put on a flag to show that they are Kenyan. But actually, you can also, when they come, when a foreigner comes to this country, he knows exactly that, oh, this is a Maasai, this is a Jaluo, this is a Luya, whatever it is. What are you doing? Because there's a lot of influence from the Western that actually eroding this culture, which to me should be revived.
Thank you. Can you answer those three?
I will start with the question of heritage. We need to promote our heritage by hosting cultural days in every county where these sites are. Like, for example, we have Fort Jesus, we have Mount Kenya, Mijigenda, Kaya Forest, having like hosting cultural days around Lake Baringo, Lake Bogoria, the lakes, around Mount Kenya, because that is an heritage. So that we are able to connect with the heritage sites, is to host the cultural days there at the county, because they are situated at the counties, most of them. We need to work with the Ministry of Tourism so that they are able to market, because they are the ones who come into contact with our tourists, so that they are able to give a boost in terms of marketing for the tourists to visit their heritage sites. We also can use the writing competitions, what we are talking about arts, engage the students to write essays, to write about our heritage sites, and also have Kenyans to know what they are and where they are. Most Kenyans don't actually know. And I'm one of them. I've never been to Lake Turkana at my age. So we should encourage Kenyans to know what is their heritage by visiting. I even propose that you should be holding also these kind of meetings in an heritage site. You must not come to a hall like this. We need to go down, because that way you are sensitizing. When they know the speaker is in Lamu Old Town, then all these cameras would be there, and that is a way of publicizing our heritage sites. I am also aware that there is a pending policy and legal framework on the Culture Bill 2014. The Heritage and Museum Bill is pending in Parliament. These are some of the legislations that they need to be concluded so that they comply with the Constitution. I will be appealing to the leadership of this House to ensure that they help us to get these bills concluded. So I think that's what I can say now on issues of editing.
Ms. Yams? She has not reached you yet. No. Go on. Go to Dawood's question. Our museums are empty. The artifacts are missing. There are museums in London, and museums in Berlin, and museums in Paris. What are you going to do to get them back? Some countries are doing so. That's Dawood's question, right?
Yes. I think there's already a policy, or rather there is an engagement with the member states of those countries to ensure that they return our items. For example, in Baringo, there is they say it's the oldest man.
Avoid the temptation to show the country that you are going to be a minister for Baringo.
No, I'm just using that as an example. Yes. I'll not use another one.
Talk about the whole country.
That old person is, yes. I'm told, is in Germany. Yes. He needs to be brought back to Kenya museums. In fact, the other day, the schools were here, and I asked them, one of our primary schools, where did you go? They said, we went to the Museum of Kenya. What did you see? They said, we saw a lion. And how can lions be there? They are not there. It is just those things and snakes. Yes. Actually, the things which are there are snakes. We are going to have an engagement as a department or as a ministry to visit the museum and come up with a solution. Because some of the things that they are saying is that they are understaffed. Again, they will go to the issue of there is no funding. Mostly they are talking about funding. So again, we'll have to see how we can get the funds, even if we engage with have a private partnership so that they can use it as the advertisement, but they finance bringing these issues which have been taken out of the country.
Right. Go to
my point of order.
Yes. Yes, Ferdinand.
Yeah, I think you came very well, but I want you to stress this fact that I think because the culture is almost disappearing, let's host a day through this parliament. I think we can request so they can be able to give you, so they can have a day which is actually a cultural day for Kenya, where people can, everybody can go wherever they come from to have that. I think that's what I want you to say.
Mr. Speaker, she's not answered about the gender desks being in the hospital. Who is going to run them? Is it the Ministry of Gender or is it the police? And who is going to pay for it?
Nominee?
I think there's already a cultural day. It has only not been gazetted. Yeah. So we'll follow it up. Then the issue of the desks. Policemen and hospitals, they don't stay far from each other. Those are public utilities. Where there is an hospital, a police station is not. So we don't need to employ other people. Use the same people. Work with the Ministry of Interior to have that desk moved there instead of employing other people. We work with the ministries. We are one government. So if we want to deal with gender-based violence at the hospitals, it is just to ensure that we deal with all those things at once. The treatment, the reporting, and the psychosocial support. So it really doesn't have to be you train or you remove the policemen. In any event, even those policemen as we speak, they don't stay. After some time, they are transferred, and there is no suitable replacement like the way they do for teachers. So there has to be an engagement on how to ensure that those desks are functional.
Demase.
Thank you, Chairman, not Chair. Nominee, allow me to take you back to gender-based violence. Most of the cases on gender-based violence remain unreported because of the challenges inherent in the reporting processes. We have even men being battered, women being battered, children defiled, raped. Name them, all of those are assault cases. So I'm wondering, what are you going to do as a ministry to ensure that most of these cases are reported, to encourage victims to report. Secondly, for those that are reported, as a country, we still have a challenge because we do not have structured systems where the victims can get support. And I mean psychosocial support, legal support, and medical support, where we have a kind of a one-stop center for the victim of gender-based violence. So what are you going to do as the minister, if approved, in that department with respect to addressing the challenges? There are safe spaces in some counties, but there are some counties even without such kind of a facility, where such victims can be held shortly as this support is sought.
Thank you.
For those that they have challenges to operationalize. There is no money, there's no budget. So what are you going to do in your ministry to ensure that there is sufficient budget, and how will you address those challenges?
She said she'll negotiate with you.
Negotiate with me?
Yes, with Parliament. Yes, Mishi?
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Chairman, I have two questions to Hannah Cheptum. And my first question is on the issue of the girls. What measures are you going to put in place to ensure young girls who have dropped out from school due to early marriages, early pregnancy, and FGM, that are given a second chance for studies? That is my first question. My second question, the government has initiated several funds, the Women Enterprise Fund, the Youth Fund, Wezo Fund, Hustler Fund, and all these funds target the affirmative group, which include women, youth, and persons with disability. But when you look on the analysis, you still see that women are still low in terms of economic empowerment. What measures are you going to put in place to ensure that these funds reach the target audience and also they give positive results? Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Russell?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Madam Anna, listening to your response and also the questions that have been asked by my colleagues, everybody tends to think that this is a soft ministry. Actually, this is a very serious ministry. It is about our people, and it addresses the core of issues about the girl child, the boy child, our culture, heritage, arts, and all that. So my first question is, you talked about budget cuts, but tell us how you are going to make more money so that you develop your own A&A. Secondly, around the world, museums and cultural centers are actually the greatest sources of tourism destinations and centers of attraction. We would like to hear from you. What are some of the strategies and initiatives and innovative ideas you are likely to come up with so that more Kenyans actually, instead of traveling out, they can travel inwards to go to Ilret on the shores of Lake Turkana, to see the Turkana Museum, and all that. Thank you, Chairman.
Nominee, you can answer those three from Emase.
I will start with the one for, Mr. Speaker, I'll start with the one for the girls. We need to reintegrate them back to schools by supporting them to go and learn in the TVETs, because these are institutions that are available and they are cheap. So let them, if they don't want to go back to school, but at least engage. If you want to go back to primary, you can go back. Nobody denies that. Secondary, you can always go. But join these TVET institutions so that you gain a skill, so that you can support yourself after that. On the issue of Wezo, we need to train the members. We need to train the women. Earlier on, I mentioned that I worked in the Ministry of Cooperative Development. And why they are now the biggest deposit-taking organization is because of training. We need to train because people need to know that that money they are taking is a revolving fund. It needs to go back so that it can support another person. But also be very stringent on audits. We need to strengthen the internal audit of these funds so that before it is seen as a big item, as having losses, that we need to ensure that we audit periodically these funds. And that is one of the issues that I'm going to look into it so that we don't have losses or misuse of the funds. The other question was about the issue that we have budget cuts. What can we do as a ministry to ensure, or as a department, to ensure that we have funds without depending on the budget? If you look at some of the semi-autonomous government agencies, they are called sagas in that ministry. We have one like Bomas of Kenya. Bomas of Kenya, once it will be complete, is going to bring a lot of income. And that in itself can be able to finance. It can finance itself, and part of it can also be used to develop another project. We also need to engage, like for example, Kenya National Library. Kenya National Library has come up with e-books. And with those e-books, once you register, you pay, and then you can read those books. So that payment is actually going to support the work that is happening in that State Department without having to go to Treasury. So we are going to work with the same institutions that we have and ensure that they become income generating, self-financing. You look at the ones that can easily, they are the ones which can, like now the museums. If you really develop those museums and you work with the Ministry of Tourism to ensure that tourists come and they go to those sites, definitely we will have income being generated by those institutions. So we wouldn't have to depend on exchequer. What was the other question?
The other question was from Mary Masse on a robust support program for GBV victims.
Gender-based violence is, I said earlier, it is one of those functions or one of those vices that has to be eradicated completely. That one we have to negotiate for funds to ensure that we actualize the reporting system. We should have a reporting system that is very, very clear so that once you have that violence.
That point is made. She's asking, reporting will be there. It's a given at the police or any other government agency. How do you compensate the victims? That's what she asked. Isn't that so, Mary?
I don't think so.
You forgot what you asked?
Speaker, I asked two questions.
One,
how she's going to encourage victims to report. Because the reasons why they are not reporting are known. One of it is cultural. One of it, you've just had no gender desk, whatever, or the gender desk is not friendly. Things like that.
She has talked about that since she started.
Okay, so, fine. Yes, the second one was on the support system for the victims.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
On how to report, you have said that over and over. Now deal with assisting the victims through compensation and other things. What is your view if you are given an opportunity to be the minister?
My view is to have these victims be integrated back to the society by way of involving them in income-generating activities. I think I'd even said earlier.
Okay. Matungulu.
Thank you, Chair, and Chairman, Honorable Speaker. To the nominee, you have kept on telling us you'll negotiate. And I keep wondering, who are you going to negotiate with? Is it World Bank? Is it IMF? Is it negotiating to create more taxes? Who are you going to negotiate with? And let me disclose this, Speaker. She'll find us at the Committee of Sports, Culture and Heritage, whereby we'll be oversighting her. The bottom line is that it's true, the ministry itself has serious budget deficits. But there are serious interventions which I would wish to hear from you, whereby you can generate more money to that ministry. But who are you going to negotiate with?
Gikaria, you came in late. Introduce yourself. Then ask no question. I can see you don't want to ask any.
Gikaria Davis.
Thank you. You can answer that from Honorable Mule. Who are you going to negotiate with? And where are you going to get money outside the budget lines?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. We will negotiate with Parliament. Parliament are the ones who approve those budgets. So we will be submitting our budgets and we'll call on you not to cut our budgets.
With the dagger is sitting there.
I also think we can engage the private sector. These banks, they are willing to advertise their goods. So you engage them to sponsor some of the activities. And self-generating activities, I said it earlier that we have institutions within that ministry that can generate income. I mentioned the Bomas of Kenya, I mentioned the Kenya National Library, even the culture in itself. We can ensure that we showcase, use the artists, then part of it, we pay them, part of it, we finance the activities in the ministry.
Thank you, Hannah. Just the question that you asked by Owen Bayer, I just want to encourage you. There are some brokers and middlemen between our local artists' production, the marketing, and the receipt of the money. You've glossed over it. In case you find favor, please try and help our young artists, especially musicians. Every time their music is played on radios, on TV, ringtones, they ought to be paid. But there's somebody somewhere who takes the money. And these boys just run around following these politicians to pick small monies for survival. If you can have a robust policy, and that's the question Owen Bayer asked, and you didn't give quite a good answer. Help those young people to realize the fruits of their talent. That's just a comment. You don't have to answer. I want to ask you a few questions. What is your net worth in terms of wealth? You said you have a law firm that makes profit.
Sorry for... This is true, I don't have money. The money I have belongs to my husband.
Now you are...
And I have not done...
We presume you to be the sole administrator of the estate.
Succession. And by the way, Mr. Speaker, the part of what was supposed to be due to him has already been stolen.
Pardon?
Part of what is due to him has already been stolen in the cooperative. During the day we were having the barrio,
yes.
When we were having the church service,
yes,
I was told that 250,000 was borrowed by him.
When he was lying in state?
Yes. So I was told, who is the older, who is having his phone? I said, I'm the one. So you are a beneficiary of corrupt dealings. I said, why? They said it is because he has borrowed 250,000 and it has already been spent. So it is less that. I will do the deductions.
Yes.
Minus the 2 cows.
Before we get there, sorry, Hannah, members of the public have sent in a few questions. Some you have answered, but it's good to be fair to them. What will be your input in ensuring gender mainstreaming in Kenya, particularly in the public service? You have answered that. What measures will you put in place to ensure that gender-based violence against men is brought to an end? You have talked about that. Are you aware of the strategic development goals and Kenya's vision? And if yes, and if approved for appointment, how do you plan to align gender equality efforts with the goals of Kenya's Vision 2030? That you can answer. Are you able to answer that?
I will.
Okay. The next one is, what is your strategy to protect and promote Kenya's intangible cultural heritage, including indigenous languages, traditions, and customs? The next one is, the creative economy remains underfunded. How will you ensure support of artists and creatives, especially in film, music, and visual arts? I think we have talked about that in extenso. Kenya has many neglected cultural sites and monuments. What investment or restoration initiatives does your ministry plan to undertake? That you can touch on. What mechanisms will you put in place to enhance the inclusion of PWDs, the elderly, and other vulnerable groups in policy formulation? That is public participation. Given that culture is a devolved function under Schedule 4 of the Constitution, how will you collaborate with the county governments? That you have talked about extensively. What measures will she take to ensure that gender desks at police stations are adequately staffed with officers who possess the necessary qualifications and skills in handling GBV and offering counseling support to survivors of all genders? That you have answered. So answer the other two. On strategic development goals and Kenya's vision.
I will use an example, sorry to say so. The Bomas of Kenya is being developed because it was in the Vision 2030. So as a ministry, we'll ensure that every department or every sector is able to align itself with Vision 2030. I don't know whether I've answered that one.
Do you think you have answered?
I have attempted. Some questions you attempt, others you will deal with them as you get to the ministry itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to what, those were questions from the public. If we find favor, we'll pass them on to you to deal with them. There are policy issues, there are operational issues, and there are issues that any serious ministry should undertake. So what is your net worth now? Have you?
Our net worth as a family is 420,049,000 or thereabouts, and these are estimates. Yes.
Made of?
Made of our residential house in Karen, which is about 100 million. We have a residential house in Nakuru, 15 million. I read all of them. It's very big. I read all of it, Mr. Speaker, sir.
No, it's okay.
Yes.
We have it on our files.
Okay.
What is very big? You have seen it. It's very well tabulated. Have you ever been convicted of an offense in a court of law?
No.
No. Have you ever been adversely mentioned in any parliamentary committee report?
No.
Do you hold any office in any political party?
No.
Have you ever been dismissed or removed from office for contravention of the Constitution, particularly Article 75?
No, sir.
You haven't. So thank you very much, Hannah. The committee will retreat to assess your performance and pass a verdict on your suitability to hold office. We thank you for your appearance. We looked at your documents.
Mr. Speaker.
And what we have. Yes.
I wanted to raise this as an AOB.
Go ahead.
For future reference.
Yes.
Every time I see members come in and we ask them if they are Christians, and they raise a Bible, and then we tell them to swear. That is actually unbiblical.
Why?
The Bible doesn't allow people to swear. It says you are yes, be yes, or you are no, be no.
So
when you swear by the
what
Bible,
denomination
it's sinful.
do you belong to?
I'm a Christian.
We have denominations.
I
am a Catholic.
Yes,
and
I am.
we swear
I am
by
both.
the Bible.
Then you are sinful, because the Bible says very clearly you are yes, be yes, and you are no,
And
be
Millie,
no. Don't be like pagans who
And
swear by
Millie,
the Bible.
I saw you in Parliament. I saw you holding a Bible.
I affirmed. I don't swear.
You
The
affirmed.
Bible says you affirm.
Yes?
The Bible is very clear, you affirm. You don't swear.
Pardon?
So we are encouraging people to be sinful.
How do pagans swear by the Bible?
Yeah.
Unless it is Millie's Rosing Island Bible.
You know, Millie is always quoting controversy, and we will not allow it here. We swear by the Holy Book, the Bible, the Quran, or the Indian one is called what? The Gita. Yes. Yes.
I don't swear by Gita, I swear by the Quran.
You are Muslim?
Yes, I'm a Muslim.
Okay.
But Millie has not gone to theological school, so what she's saying is very pedestrian Christian knowledge.
No, Mr. Speaker, the Bible does not require you to go to theology school. It is clear the Bible says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Do not be swear. Do not swear like pagans.
Nominee, ignore
Google
these
is your
shenanigans.
friend.
You are now released to go back to your work and wait for our verdict. Have a good evening. And always swear by the Bible if you are a true Christian, as I believe you are. Follower of Mackenzie.
Mr. Speaker, in the book of Matthew 5, verses 37, hallelujah, brothers, it says, but let your yes be yes, and your no be no. For whatever is more than this is from the evil one.
But it doesn't say don't swear by the
We
Bible.
are followers of Jesus.
Yes.
So we swear by his book.
Yes.
That was, Millie, that verse.
And that verse doesn't say you can't swear by the Bible.
That verse is when you're married.
Oh.